Okay, and welcome to this tutorial for the silk screening process and how we write what they call a PostScript file so that we can double check to make sure that our t-shirt design is using spot colors and not using process colors. So as we kind of mentioned in other tutorials and in class is that spot color means that it's pre-mixed and kind of like when you go to Home Depot and you hand them a swatch and they mix it up into a can for you. Well, that's kind of a spot color. And process colors are meaning that we can lay transparent colors on top of one another to create all of our millions of colors. And since silk screening is spot color based. It's literally it's a liquid plastic. It's paint. I can't lay colors on top of one another in silk screening because they are opaque and they're not transparent. So that means to create my designs and any designs that I see in silk screening, they have to be spot colors. So that means they will put black on as a separate can, this blue, a screen of this blue, the green, that will all be spot colors. And the shirt color never counts as a spot color. And so it's just on there as a layer so that, as you can see in your layers here, it's on there to so we can see what our design looks like and if it's going to look good on that shirt, or do we want to change the color of the shirt? Do we want it to be a white shirt? Whatever we want to be. We also organize our layers by the spot color. So we name them too. So everything that's dark blue is on its own layer. Everything that's light blue is on its own layer. Everything that's green is on its own layer. And everything that's black is on its own layer. And that's so that when they go to print these or get these shirts ready for print, they can pull this and print just this layer, and that'll be on one separate piece of film. And then they can turn on the green layer, and everything that's green they'll print out, and then everything that's light blue, and then everything that's dark blue, until they have all their film outputted, and they can mount them and onto the silk screening wheel and start printing the t-shirts. So before we do any of that, though, we want to proof our work. And proof it meaning that quite often, some students I've seen they'll have their files set up and they're not using spot colors. So if we go to our swatches panel right here, we can see that we have a lot of our swatches have been deleted, the ones that we don't use. And that's another tutorial I have for you guys, but it usually helps if we start with that we only have the colors on here that are used in the design. So I have my yellow for my shirt, I have my light blue, I have my dark blue, and I have my green. And a spot color is always your swatch here, and you see that little triangle in the lower right, the triangle with the dot, that means it's a spot color. So that's good. This would be bad because it's a process color, and you can see that a process color means that they've used 30% screen of yellow, but it's combination of these guys in transparent form. So they would lay blue on top of it and magenta on top of it and black on top of it to get this kind of mauve color here. So it's a process color, meaning that it's transparent inks laid on one another. So that's bad. That would be bad to show up in your PostScript file because we can't create that color. It would have to be a spot color. And we have a tutorial on how to change your swatches into spot colors. This one is going to be about pulling your PostScript file for your shirt. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to File and Print, like you're going to print it. And you go to File, Print, and your defaults, like for general, we're going to want to make sure that we have visible and printable layers. And down here for scaling, we want it to fit the page. If you say do not scale to it, see how my trim marks go away? You want your trim marks on there because your trim marks are going to be telling you if it's what colors are used on each of those plates. So we always make sure scaling is fit to page. And you see my trim marks and printer marks come back. To get those, it would be under my marks and bleeds. So I'll go to marks and bleeds, and I'll click all printer marks so that I get all my printer information. And then finally, under output, I would select separations. Some students select composite, and that's incorrect. Composite is when you want to print the full color design. We want separations. So we just select separations. And everything is set. And finally, the last step is when you click, you're going to have to go up here to the top, and under printer, you'll get a choice of printers that you can send it to. You're going to want to select a PostScript file, and that's why we say a PS. It stands for PostScript file. We'll select that, and then what changes, and here we'll show you really quick. If I selected the Xerox color printer, your dialog buttons down here are going to change. Instead of done, cancel, and save, it's going to say done, cancel, and print. And we don't want it to say print. We want to say save, because the PostScript file is just that. It's a file, and we're going to open it up. As you can see, when I changed it to a printer, it changes to print. We don't want that. We want Adobe PostScript file so that it actually saves it as a file that we can open up. And then when we're done, we click save. And I'm going to show you. And this is a file that comes up. And immediately this is incorrect because it shows up with process yellow. And I didn't use any process yellow in the design except for the shirt design. And remember, the shirt doesn't count as a color. So we should turn that layer off. But we can see that everything that's black shows up on its own layer. Everything that's blue shows up in its own layer, and it tells us up here at the top what the color is. Everything that's green is green. So one of the things with the PostScript files that I often see is that students write them, but then they don't open them up and look at them. And that kind of defeats the purpose. You know, the PostScript file is just that. It's that we open it up so that we can proof it and we can catch these mistakes. And I can see that from this mistake, I left the t-shirt layer on. So I would want to go back to the file, correct the mistake, and then pull another PostScript file to proof it. And so if there was something on here, so this is my black plate. We'll say if maybe this figure, this dark blue, was a process color, not a spot color, she would show up on the black plate and the cyan plate, and that would be incorrect. That means you would have to click her, set her color to a spot color, and then save the file, and then export a new PostScript, open it up, and double check it. And that's the thing, is that you got to open it up and see it and read it so that you can make sure that everything is correct on it. And if it isn't, then your job is to go back there and fix it. So to do that, we would say I would have to turn off the layer. That's my shirt color, because that's what's showing up incorrectly. And then I would do the same process of file, print, and I would make sure, you know, everything should still be set to the last time you've done it, but, you know, you just want to double check. Fit to page, Adobe PostScript file, all my marks and bleeds, and my output is the separations, and then I would click save, and then it's gone. And now all that's left is the correct spot color usage. My blue plate, my black plate, my green plate, and my light blue plate. And that's it. And so this is how we set up a PostScript file for t-shirt printing, but it's also how we proof it and correct our mistakes.